This is what you get when you let your son play with flour and Play-Doh so that you can make a pizza dough. Calvin, what do you have to say for yourself? Hey everybody, it's Jackie and I'm really excited to do a cook with me. Today I'm going to just kind of talk through cooking one of my favorite dinners with you. I am making pizza's fancy cousin, Stromboli. So I love to make a homemade crust and then you can kind of get creative what you put in the toppings. We make the exact same Stromboli every time because I'm the only one in my family that's super topping adventurous. But I make it the way my family will eat it. We all love this. We use pepperoni, salami, and mozzarella inside. I make, I just reheat some pizza sauce on the side, some ranch dressing. That's a personal must of mine. And then I put seasonings on top of the entire Stromboli. It is so good. It's so much fun to make. I don't know what it is about making Stromboli, but I love to make it. So I'm not going to share my recipe. I didn't make up my own recipe. I'm going to link below to the crust that I use, and then there's really not a recipe for the inside, but I'll link below to what I've used. I found it on Pinterest and I've made it so many times. It's delicious. You'll love it, I promise. Let me know if you already make Stromboli or if you're inspired to make it from this. And if you think this is the kind of video that you'd like to see on a regular basis, I'd love to have you as a subscriber. I make videos very regularly. I am doing Vlogtober, so I'll be vlogging every single day of October, so you might get sick of me come November 1st, but I can promise you that this is the type of video you'll see on a regular basis, and I'd love to have you join as a subscriber. Do it now. Should be done by now, so we'll keep going. So I'm going to make the dough. I'll kind of walk you through what I'm doing, but again, I'm not going to share the recipe. It'll be linked below, but this is just a quick get it. You need to make it at least an hour before you want to put it in the oven. So I make the dough up at least 2 hours ahead of time. That gives me time. I like to plan ahead. So it is 2:30 in the afternoon when I'm starting this. A little later than normal, but my little guy was fighting nap like always. So let's go. So I make this dough to grill pizza, to make Stromboli, to make breadsticks. Anything where I want a pizza crust, I use this. So I'm going to add in my warm water, and then it calls for honey, and I'm going to show you a little tip that I do. If you take your measuring spoon for honey and you add olive oil into it, so I get olive oil, I actually just pour the oil right back, but my spoon is now oil covered, and so I put my honey in here. Now watch this. It just falls right out. It doesn't stick to the side like it would if I didn't have my oil in here. So this honey is a natural sugar for my dough, and it's going to give my yeast something to eat and grow on. I'm going to first kind of mix the honey in with this warm water, get it to dissolve so it's a sweet water, which will be the perfect breeding and growing ground for my yeast. I buy my yeast in a very large packet from either Costco or Sam's Club, and we keep most of it in the freezer, but then I periodically bring some into the refrigerator. I don't do the packets anymore because this is a better deal. But now this has to sit for just a few minutes to get all puffy, so that's what it looks like now. We'll come back in a minute when it's puffy. You don't mix it though, you just sit and wait. Okay, so you can see the yeast has been feasting on that honey water and it's nice and puffy, so that means it's grown. I'm going to go ahead and add in my olive oil and my salt. And I just realized I don't have the dough hook in, so that'll be something I need to go get, but I'm about to add in 2.5 cups of flour. I always use a measuring cup that's like the lowest common denominator, so since I need a half cup eventually, I'm just doing a half cup to get to my 2.5 cup. It's the part of me that wants to save any work, so instead of doing 2 different dishes sets, I will only wash 1 measuring cup. Does it make sense? I don't know. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna go get the dough hook. You can see it is now a dough, which is amazing that it went from a glob to dough in not long at all. So I'm going to pull this off, take my dough hook out, then we'll come over to the island. So now I'm going to take my light olive oil here. My hands, of course, I've washed them. Anytime you use dough, you want to make sure you have nice clean hands, and I just cleaned my island while the yeast was getting all puffy, but I just add a little bit of olive oil in here, and you just kind of coat the pan with it. So you can do this with your hand like I am. You could do it with a paper towel or a napkin, but I just use my hands since, you know, I'm going to be handling the dough anyways, and they're nice and clean, and I'm only making it for my family, so, you know, if I were taking this to someone, not that I think it's dirty, but just, you always feel better when it's your family rather than someone else. So you put the dough in the greased bowl, and this is because you're going to let this dough sit for about an hour at least. So here's my dough, and we're going to get a nice aerial shot of this. And I'm going to cover it up, and we'll come back. I'm going to do probably an hour and 20 minutes. So here is my dough. I'm going to get it to where the bowl is right here. And we will come back to this in an hour and 20 minutes. And since it's Vlogtober, I'm going to put the potion towel over top. So we'll come back and we'll see how different the dough looks. Okay, ready? Here is the dough. 1, 2, 3. And it actually was so much bigger than this, but I accidentally just hit it and all the air went out of it. I could hear it, but it's a good dough. Okay, ready, Cal? Watch. Okay, so we're gonna get this dough out. I deflated it a bit, which is fine because we need to deflate the dough anyways. Oops. And we're just gonna knead it, and then I'm gonna roll it out. Where you go? Calvin is my helper. In case you haven't met Calvin, here he is. This is my little guy. Cal, you say hi to the camera? Ew. Hey, Cal, we don't eat the flour. And let me remind you, this is just for my family. Otherwise, Cal would not be a helper here. Okay, Cal, we gotta watch now. Keep your hands back. This is Mommy's turn. Oh, Cal. Oh, buddy.
Pat your hands over that.
I absolutely love this dough. Look how pliable this is. It's stretchy. It's just such a wonderful dough. I will never make a different pizza dough.
Love it. Love it, Mommy.
You love it?
Yeah, Mommy.
Elsie wants to touch it. Calvin wants to touch it. We all want to touch the dough. But guess what? Only one person's going to, and that's me.
Touch it, though.
Okay, Calvin can touch it too. Okay, Calvin, now you watch. This is not the time to...
Oh, Mommy.
Elsie got home from school. She's over there. She wants to touch the dough. Really wants to touch the dough. Okay, so now my dough is nice and kneaded. Cal, all done. Do I need to move you back?
No.
Okay, then stop. Now what I'm going to do is get this into the world's best looking rectangle, because that's the shape I need to use for my Stromboli. So it's probably going to have to just mainly be pulled for a bit because it's so thick. Okay, so I got an egg wash. I had forgotten to get that, but I'm going to show you what I do. First, I lay down the cheese. Shredded nuts. I don't measure any of this, so it's kind of like play it by how you want it, but you really just have to decide, do I like toppings a lot or not?
Okay, watch
You want to get pretty darn close to your edges, except for on one side, you want to leave it just a little bit less because you're going to roll that way and you need a little overlapping room. But I really don't even pay attention to that much because I just like my toppings, so. Huh? I'll see. My middle child is begging me to make this. But, you know. Okay, so I ordered a 1/4 pound of pepperoni from the deli. You could do this. Okay, just a second, buddy. You could do this probably with little pepperonis. Not probably, I know you could. However, I just like the big ones. I feel like probably a little higher quality. Maybe not, but that's what I tell myself. So there's that. Worked out pretty good there. And again, I ordered a 1/4 pound of salami. And I'm just going to put that right on top. No. What's wrong, buddy? Oh, can you have a fork or a knife, please, maybe? Oh yeah, I forgot. I have to leave some. I forgot I have to leave a part without salami because my oldest will not eat it.
I freeze.
Okay, so we have a little extra salami, and I gave it to my kids that will eat it as a little bonus. Bonus for being my meat eaters, right? Okay, so now what you do is you turn in the edges just a bit. That kind of holds in your toppings. Do you like it, buddy?
Yes.
I don't want the cat up here. I know, but you're lifting her up. So now I'm turning in my edges. That's going to seal all your ingredients in. And then this is where the magic happens. See, I have the recipe pulled up on my phone. Like I said, I've made this a million times, but I always forget. I just always want to make sure that I'm not forgetting a step. But you just are trying. This is why I like to use the mat. It helps a little bit, but to roll it evenly without pushing all your ingredients can get a little tricky. That's where the fun comes. I honestly just think this is one of the most fun things to make. And if I were making this just for myself, I would most 100% definitely have ground sausage in here and some grilled onions. But no one else in my family would eat it that way. Elsie and Calvin probably would eat the sausage, but Matt wouldn't, Mila wouldn't. So it really just, when it's not a crowd pleaser, it's just not worth it to me to make it differently. So now I have my pizza stone. I'm going to go ahead and put that here. And looks like a giant caterpillar. And I'm going to move it. I make it into a U. That's not really recommended, but it fits. So I'll show you why. This is why you, oops, it's a little loose there, but tighten in the ends. Oops, you can't really see. But it just helps your ingredients not bust out. It'll still bubble a little bit. But then you have this dough with a bunch of things in here. So you need to cut some slits. Cut some slits. And then it's going to let it breathe. Now that the Stromboli is all set, I'm going to put an egg wash on it. And so this is just one egg with some water. I just mix it together. I didn't measure it, and I'm not going to like purposefully use the entire thing. but you just put this all over and it'll give it a nice golden color and a glisten. And then when this is almost done baking, I will pull it out and add a butter topping to it with some seasonings and a little Parmesan cheese. I meant to tell you, I preheated my oven before I rolled the dough out, just so that it was ready whenever I was. The recipe calls for preheated to 500, but I broke a pizza stone at 500, so I only go up to 450. I do 450 for 15 minutes, turn the pan, and do 375 for 10 more minutes. It's a little different than what she says, but it'll work.
Oh my God.
Okay, so our the Stromboli just finished. And so we're taking it out of the oven, and Elsie is going to put toppings on it. Let them melt. Okay, move your arm, please. Very hot, very hot, very hot. Okay, Elsie, now take that. This is so hot. I need you to understand that. And just put that butter everywhere. Seasonings on here, and this is just going to go back in the oven for a few minutes while I get everything else ready, and then I'll show you it sliced up. Slicing the Stromboli is one of my favorite parts, but I just wanted to point out, normally I would put parchment paper underneath this so it doesn't stick, but I was all out. Highly recommend using it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed.